Yes, good afternoon. As John mentioned, Peter Bates is my name. I'm the CIO role player for our Australian operations for both Xstrata Zinc and Xstrata Copper. Xstrata as an organisation is 10 years old next month, and it started off with a $200 million mine that it acquired and has grown to be an $80 billion company in those not quite 10 years. And if you read the Wall Street Journal yesterday, you might understand that Glencore is interested in lifting its stake from 37% shareholding to being a merger of equals. About 80,000 employees in 21 countries and 6 business units, being copper, coal, zinc, nickel, alloys, technology, and a very, very different business model to all our other competitors such as Rio, BHP, Vale. We're a very devolved and very autonomous company, and that creates its own problems in itself, as well as providing an advantage to us in other ways. We're recognised as being one of the leaders in mining management, and that's what's so attractive to the market for us. A lot of you may not know where Queensland is. It's not the largest state in Australia, but our operations are in MacArthur River in the Northern Territory, where we have a port, major operations in Mount Isa, fairly major mines in Cloncurry, a port, refinery in Townsville, and some offices in Brisbane. It comprises 3 underground mines, 7 open cuts, 6 concentrators, 2 smelters, 1 refinery, and as I said, 3 berths at 2 ports. The vision when I joined Xstrata 4 years ago that there would be world-class systems and a totally integrated pit-to-port system covering the whole of a production level 3 operations. Everything was going to be visible to everyone across the enterprise, real-time information, optimised for any condition, and scenarios to cover events. What I found was spreadsheets. There was no truth whatsoever. Data entry was very agricultural. We mined data out of the ground. Information was changed as it passed through. There was no single point of truth at all. So we took some data from systems where it was validated, then passed those through spreadsheets to change the result that we wanted to see when we passed it up to senior management. And that's what it really looks like. All those spreadsheets, and some of those spreadsheets, like our mine planning spreadsheet, 200 megabytes, sales and operating plan, something like 80 megabytes, very, very complex spreadsheets. And that in itself created a bit of a problem as well, because we ended up tying up very scarce resources, very expensive resources in the form of mining engineers and geos and metallurgists developing macros in spreadsheets, whereas we wanted them out actually doing the business, finding more metal and turning it into dollars. This presentation I'm giving you will now go through a whole lot of quick slides to show you what we have done, and then I'll concentrate on how we broke through the silo management to get there. So we went out in search of some product and did the evaluations, very similar to the story that Brooke told yesterday in her session, and we found 2 products provided the complete answer. The first one was the Ampler software to take all the information from our SCADA systems and manage the operations, manage the plant, and put that to Solvit software for all the forecasting, scenario planning, and between the 2 of them, optimise our whole production environment. And that provided all those things that I was looking for right from the word go. The visibility, the real time, total truth, optimised, and if any event was going to come our way, we had a scenario for it, and we could be very agile and change what we were doing to meet that particular event. We have one rail line between Townsville, our ports, and Mount Isa, our major operations, and it's a single rail line. It's 900 kilometres long. It's part of the public network, and we have to share that. So we only get a certain number of trains allocated per month. We have to have better ways of planning what wagons we need for our various products to take them to the port, and on the return journey, bring in all the materials we need, the lubricants, the explosives, the grinding media, to be able to keep our operations running in the most optimised fashion. So the Ampler architecture, as I mentioned, takes all the information from our level 2 and passes it through to our level 3. We can track, we can control inventory, we can do downtime accounting, we can optimise the throughput through the various pieces of plant, and we can do our metallurgical accounting, which is critical to us. In the spreadsheets in metallurgical accounting, you might have a situation where it's $1 million out per month, and if you're a downstream profit centre and you have to do your calcs and produce your monthly report, and you find that you're $1 million up, well, you don't explain it. It's good news, but the following month you might find you're $1 million down, and you don't know where you're going to find that $1 million because it didn't happen in your patch, it happened somewhere else. You don't know how and why. So made it very complex. The architecture for Solvit, it takes the information from Ampler and it's used right across the business so that it's a single integrated view from pit to port. All the mine planning, how we're getting what grades of ore and putting it into the smelter, and then turning that down the rail into the refinery, and the same for the other products. So we know at any time, any event that happens, what it's going to mean to our business. And it's totally optimised. Basically, the architecture is, Ampler is looking what happens right up till now, and it's all real time, and it passes it to Solvit. It's a reiterative process, so the knowledge that Solvit's gaining from Ampler, it adds that to the knowledge base, and it regenerates itself with what predictions of things are going to happen based on the events that have just happened, optimises it, provides decisions or options for you to decide what is going to be your new production plan, and then passes that down to Ampler, who then go and do their thing and measure the production that was actually able to be achieved. So we have total visibility right across the whole enterprise, and we can drill down to any part of those parts of the business in the red circle and find out exactly how we're going and where things are not going so well, what we can do about it. We start off at the port, and we have 3D geologicals in the system that show for any open cut what block to go to, what is the grade of ore that we're looking for any particular production plan that we've got in place at the moment, or what stope in an underground. We take that and we put that ore through the concentrators, and we look at the stockpiles, and we've got instant assay information and instant volume information of what stockpiles we want to take in the next stage of the process. And then when we have to work on the rail line, we've got to look at what is going to be the optimum inbound and outbound configuration of that train so that we can keep everything running. So it's all about all the different silos that come to play and how we're going to optimise the whole thing when we're all being driven by spreadsheets. So we can localise, we can optimise locally, or we can take a global view of the whole thing and work out the best plan of attack. When to schedule ships is influenced by the entire supply chain. We have to worry about tides. What's the size of the vessel? Is it a bulk carrier for magnetite concentrate or zinc concentrate? Is it purpose-built to take very heavy copper cathodes? All this needs to be figured out well and truly in advance so that they can schedule the ships. But when those ships are standing off the harbour, we have to make sure that we keep demurrage to a minimum, and we need to have that product available or in the chain coming out in time. We have to be agile enough and solve it, and Ampler do provide that visibility to us so that we can reorganise what ships are coming into the harbour and avoid the demurrage. I'll skip through some of these. Scenario planning, this gives us the capability to look at whatever business event that we want to enter into the system, whatever wild and crazy we want, and let the system work out in a couple of minutes all the variables it's looking on right from pit to port in a very large and complex organisation, and give you various options of what to do. Do you want to maximise your product? Do you want to get rid of some overburden? Do you want to process cathode or anode that we're bringing in from our operations in South America? All sorts of things, and that will provide you different answers. From that you can get your plans out. The downtime accounting. How do we want to look at what our maintenance windows are? What is causing us problems? Have we got outages of product coming into the particular parts of the plant? And is the downtime planned or is it unplanned? So what we can do is we can look at this and have dashboards that provide us not only the throughput and what we're making, and also the genealogy and track that genealogy, but we can also look at the whole production output right across the business, or drill down into parts of the business, and we start getting knowledge of exactly what has happened in that shift or that previous 24 hours. And that's provided up to senior management, and the visibility is there to see how the whole business is going, and therefore how the actual plan is going. None of this happened before in a silo. And then we start being able to enter the log sheet data and having those log sheets available right across the business so that people understand what events took place to deviate from the production plan that we had in place. So when I looked at this, this problem of how we get management buy-in, and right across a very siloed organisation, I looked at some other mining conferences that are going on at the moment in Australia, and some experts are talking about pretty much the same 5 bullet points as being senior management 101 buy-in, but it's not enough, and we inherited that problem. Across all my previous past lives and the current life, there is no difference. You have to address silo management both from the vertical and the horizontal perspective. If you're just addressing the vertical perspective, you will find that you're only touching on the people, generally at the senior management level, and you're trying to get them convinced of why you need to invest millions of dollars in systems. They do not have the visibility invariably of what's happening down low. They don't understand the pain points down there. They just understand that production's not up to scratch. They don't understand that across the horizontal silos, people are looking at the same sorts of problems they've got. Are they getting crap data for their monthly report? Is it taking them weeks to prepare those reports, or man weeks, or person weeks, I think is politically correct. So if you look at this at all levels, you're going to see different pain points. What we did was we focused on all those problems, and we were able to convince the business that this was it. If we moved from what we had to integrated systems that had complete visibility, we would get knowledge. If we implemented good integrated systems that had the capability of optimising, we would get wisdom. And I guess that you all know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. So what we've done is we've looked at the optimisation for each particular part of the business and for the entire business. How did we get there? Well, prior to me joining Xstrata, 3 respected consulting firms went about doing exactly the same thing that those before them had done. They came up with the same issues, recommended the same need to do more consulting, and all those reports were filed and collected dust. They were only addressing the issues that senior management saw. So this is coming into play where your horizontal silo is not engaging all the layers down. We adopted a different approach. I didn't see any point in going and getting another consultant to come and tell me exactly what I already knew. So I took this, these previous reports, and I sent out one of my staff and got him to look at this and validate this through all parts of the business, at all layers, at the manager, the superintendent, the supervisor, and the guys that are actually doing the stuff. And I said, bring me back their individual pain points. Let's know exactly how we're going with this. We turned those into what I call triggers. It's just turning the same thing around as a pain point to something that's going to get someone off their arse and make them think about a bigger picture than just their silo, than their own problems. And that addressed in itself the politics across the whole enterprise. We had to, once we garnered a little bit of interest, we had to keep that interest going. And so we undertook a bit of a analysis of the product out there, and we involved key people right across the business so that they had buy-in to this, buy-in at all levels, at the worker level all the way through to senior management. We identified the perfect place to do this, that we could ring-fence that part of the business and demonstrate all the different issues that people had. The Townsville refinery was the best, and so we paid both Ampler and Solvit to undertake these scoping studies. Some colleagues in Xstrata Coal have leveraged what we've done and adopted the same model that we've got, but they were very confused as to why we would pay vendors to come and do the scoping. My response to that is very simple. At the end of the day, you're going to pay no matter what. These companies have to be viable to continue the business that they do. So by having an investment up front, you're getting a better interest from that company. They are then undertaking a requirements analysis for kinds that you're going to have to pay for anyway further down the track. But because you're buying into that, they are going to do a much better effort of coming back with what you want. And we got them to come back and say, okay, you prove to us that you understand our requirements, and you prove to us that your systems can do that. And that was very cheap insurance to cover off what is a fairly big risk. We took the outputs from those scoping studies and we took them right across the business. We kept the buy-in at the worker level, the superintendent, the manager and the general manager level, and we kept on keeping them informed by personal one-on-one contact rather than just newsletters to how we go. We developed after that further iterations of the systems, and we took that out across the business so that everyone understood. There's an old saying, be careful for what you wish, it may come true. In our case it did. The interest in these systems across all silos, vertically and horizontally, was so phenomenal that everyone wants it now. So we're now fighting them off with a stick as we do this at a pace that the resources from all three partners, Ampler, Solvit and ourselves, can manage this and do a quality job. Thank you very much.